All right, Faith, let's take a look at this essay. So, looking at your intro, I think you have a pretty good start, but I think there's some things we can uh, take a look at. So, the first is with the red lines, take a look at the misspellings. Because what it looks like is you just have a few words swapped here and there. Not words, but vowels. So, George should be Geo instead of OE. And then you have the C and the A swapped here, and then this one should just be Roswell, Roswell. Let me double check. Yep, let me move this over. Roswell, Roswell. So a few misspellings that are there that you can just do right through um, Google Drive. But let's take a look at the contents of it. So you start off with mercy killing is not right to kills in most of the world. You should make this kill instead of kills. But overall, the introduction is okay with your hook because instead of talking right about what mercy killing is, and especially because I see your paper moves on to the fact that it's not ethical, this is okay because you talk about the the legal component of it about, well, it's not right in most of the world. Another grammar thing, you're going to want to italicize and capitalize book titles. So make that into italics and capitalize mice and men, and then you need the word up there. And then you have these examples, which the examples are okay, but the examples are what is going to drive your body paragraphs. So I almost think you shouldn't have these in here. So instead of talking about, here's the mice med example, here's Roswell, just talk about some generic reasons about why, just explain what mercy killing is, maybe say where it is legal, just to introduce what mercy killing is. And I think that's the main thing you need with your introduction. Tell us what mercy killing is. Don't tell us the examples just yet. Tell us what mercy killing is. And then right here, I think you mean the word apparently, and kill his wife out of love. In other people's point of view, they would consider this murder for no reason. And as we move on to this next body paragraph, it is non-ethical to do mercy killing. Just say not ethical, because technically unethical, as you see right here, is a word. So either use not ethical or unethical. But overall, your thesis should be in the introduction, not your body paragraph. So let's swap your thesis here and then just explain a little bit of what mercy killing is instead of what the examples are. And I think your introduction will be better. So continuing on to your body paragraph, there's a few grammar things I'm noticing. The first is contractions, where you want to get rid of that. Instead of saying isn't, put is not. And then right here, you have the wrong there. This is the homophone. So you want to use T-H-E-I-R. And what I'm noticing with your essays, you have a good start with it, but this is what I'm noticing with a few people. You don't have the evidence you need to support this paragraph. And actually, let me talk about this one sentence for a second. Mercy killing is one of the reasons that we have laws. If we did mercy killing, they probably would do it all the time. I think that's how it's connected, but this is a little bit confusing. Mercy killing is the reason that we have laws. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Make sure you explain that a little bit more. But this is what I think is really, really interesting, that once you fix up those things, this will be better. Even if you do it out of love, it's still considered murder. You should say it is still considered murder, and you will be charged for it. Many people look at mercy killings as a crime or a sin for murdering some person. So as I look at this, let's ignore the grammar and spelling because I think that's something you can improve on. So overall, let me just say what I'm noticing with the grammar. There's a couple of things I think you need to do. I think you need to use a spell check a little bit more often, and there's some tools you can download to Google Drive to do this. So let me see if I can pull this up for you. I have something called language tool. It's an add-on that will check not only your spelling, but it'll check some of your grammar, if this will load over here. So look at that. It's got some typos, some potential spelling mistakes, which seems to be the main thing. And then we have a little bit of a participle. Like what I just said, instead of consider, use considered. So let me exit out of that. Hop right back in here. Because I think what I'm noticing is, yes, that's the participle, but I think it's verb form. How your endings of words come here. Because this should be charged with a D, and this should be considered with an ED. So you need that past tense component to be added there. But as I was going on, at the end, I know there's a lot of interesting things in your article that you can use as evidence to support what you have here. Because you have things where, especially in the Roswell Gilbert, he did this as a mercy killing, but he was found guilty because that's the law. So if you're going on with this is unethical, you need to incorporate those examples of why it is still considered murder. And I think that's all you really need to benefit from in this body paragraph in terms of content. Because yes, there's a grammar, but you just need that evidence that is there. And then I see you extend that Roswell example into your body paragraph here, where you're explaining, well, even though he's killing for love, this isn't ethical because, well, there's not really a reason to kill them, saying it's okay just because people are different, and it was out of love, but he's still committing a crime at the end of the day. So I noticed that you're taking the route of it being a legal concern, but similar to the previous one, I think you could benefit with a little bit more evidence, because you talk a lot about this as murder, and in killing the one he loves is right. So if everyone kills the one they love, then there would be more killing in the world. This right here is what I'm talking about. So you have some examples. Let's look at the end of the Time article so I can show you. Laws are unlikely to be changed by such cases. For every modification, this is not moving over. For every modification one can think of, there are too many loopholes and snares. What Gilbert did, he wrote the whole base of the law, which is to keep people humane and civilized. I won't go into all the details, but these last two paragraphs are really powerful in supplying evidence and some analysis for your essay when it comes down to it. And what I'm noticing is, for a lot of you who are taking the approach that it's not ethical, that part of the Time article is being left out. So I think you need to be incorporating more evidence there. So moving on into your last body paragraph, when you start off your topic sentence saying mercy killing is ethical, that takes away from your paper, because the reader sees this as you, as the author, saying it is ethical. You need to make sure you're specifying that other people think it's ethical right away. So you do say in other people's opinion, they say that they would have more mercy killing in the world, which you kind of specify it's them who think it's ethical, but you need to specify that this is them and not you. So aside from that, your opposition does talk about Kevorkian and reasons that people find it ethical, but you don't really have a rebuttal. And that's what's missing, is you are addressing the opposition, but you need to make sure that you refute that and say, well, people say this, but they're wrong, and here's what it actually is. And then I'm noticing some of the same grammar structures, but it's kind of a little all over the place. So what I would suggest for you is take the time to read this out loud or have someone read it to you, because I think that's where you're going to benefit from the grammar the most, because looking at this as I look at it with my eyes, it's not until I say it out loud that I kind of notice it. So let's just kind of do this last half here. It is legal to give patents these medications. This should be patients. This is actually a whole different word. Were it not consider murder. It say that the medication is better to take them than doing suicide. Kevorkian assisted in some 130 suicide over next 8 years. He didn't care for the medication. He was charged with second-degree murder, then he videotaped himself injection medication, then later on with the same medication he took, another died because of it. So with that out loud, I hope that when you hear me saying this back, you can kind of catch on to some of the things that aren't typed right. Because I know from talking to you about some things, a lot of these grammar things, when we all speak this, we don't notice that, but writing it is a different kind of thing going on. So make sure, or have someone read it to you, or read it to yourself, so you can catch those a little bit quicker. All right, then in your conclusion, you want to avoid that first person. Just say something like, in conclusion, there should be less, blah, blah, blah. People consider mercy killing as murdering, no doubt about it. I'm not sure exactly what you're saying there, other than people consider mercy killing is murder and there is no doubt about it. Maybe that's what you mean. Because you go into murdering someone for love isn't a good reason. Another reason, blah, blah, blah. So you have an okay conclusion where you're wrapping up some of the examples you used. But then again, we refer to that first person. But overall, for your paper, there are some grammar things that I think you're going to benefit from if you have someone read it to you or you read it out loud to yourself, because those are the two ways that people catch errors the quickest. So aside from that, with the grammar things, you have some examples in here, but you need to not necessarily enough. So make sure you're really focusing on those analysis and evidence components where I said you need to focus on that. And then hopefully that will make it better the next time around.